Gower College Swansea, Peter Reason.
Good morning all. As you can see from the slide, our presentation is about using recorded feedback, recorded verbal feedback to student work. When we thought about which project we were going to do and what area to look at, the priority really, I think, for teaching and learning in our college was looking at feedback. And again, using evidence-based teaching models, looking at the work of Hattie and others, we know that feedback is something with a very high effect size. So we thought, which aspect of feedback do we need to improve? So we looked at ways of improving the detail in feedback. So not just one small summative statement at the end of a piece of work, giving detailed feedback throughout the work, commenting on broader issues such as literacy and so on. So what could we do to improve that? We also looked to try and make feedback more individual. So rather than general statements, cutting and pasting statements, what can we do that each student gets a very individualized piece of feedback on their work? And finally, we tried to make feedback more of a dialogue with students. First of all, to talk to students more about why we're giving feedback, what kind of impact they should have in the role of feedback as well. So with those ideas in mind, we came up with this aim. Okay, so to evaluate the benefit of using recorded verbal feedback on student work across a range of courses. And to do that, we set up a pilot. What we tried to do was to get a snapshot, really, of what kind of ways we could record feedback, what are the obstacles, what are the benefits. Now, being a great believer that small is beautiful, we decided just to have a very sort of limited pilot that we could really keep a control of and focus on what we were going to do. So we chose a number of areas, and we tried to have areas that covered different parts of the college, particularly wanted to cover different levels of courses. Because one of the ideas we came into the project with was that perhaps recorded feedback would be more used to some groups of learners than others, particularly perhaps those who are in practical subjects or at lower level courses. They may be happier to listen to feedback than to read it. So we wanted to have a good range of courses. We wanted to use staff from different parts of the college so that we can, in the second stage we're going to move on to, then we can spread the word more easily. And most importantly, we wanted staff who were actually enthusiastic and wanted to try some kind of experimentation. So with the pilot then, we started with the students, and first of all we gave them a questionnaire, asking some very general questions about their view of feedback. You know, what they liked about feedback, why was feedback important, and those kind of issues. From there, we then came up with some of the key themes that they raised, and then held a series of student forums where we were able then to discuss a bit further in terms of some of these items. Then we spent some time actually using recorded feedback with these different groups. The three groups we chose, just to give you a brief idea, one was level 2 motor vehicle course, a second course was an A-level course, a literature A-level course, and finally it was a foundation degree course in art and design. And each of those three courses then adopted slightly different approaches to the pilot. At the end of the pilot, we then had a series of questionnaires and focus groups again, where we saw whether students' attitudes had changed and what they felt about the project in general. And that then gave us the analysis, the detail that we can now use to take it further. I think the key finding of the project was actually less about feedback as such, but was more about technology. And what it really helped us do was to narrow down from the wide range of different technological aids that we have, what works in terms of this kind of project, what works for students and for staff. When we started the project, probably the greatest fear from staff was using technology and being comfortable enough to be able to record feedback, with their dictation skills such that they could actually record effective feedback and so on. Very early in the project, we engaged with the ILT team, and that really has been central to what we had to do. And they, for us, trialled nearly 20 different products that we could use, and we sort of came down to these 4 products that are on the board there. The two on the left, the one with the microphone and the arrow, they are 2 kinds of software that we use best in terms of mobile technology. Okay, they are apps that we can use, which make recording very easy. It's very useful for if you're, wherever you are, if you've got your mobile device with you, you can record feedback. The limitations of those kind of applications mainly revolve around how we then store the information, how we transmit that information to students. There are ways of emailing and so on, but it can become quite difficult and complex to handle that on a group-wide basis. On the bottom right, OneNote, which is a Microsoft product. We use that on extended writing work, particularly. The very good thing about OneNote, partly is it's in the Microsoft Office suite, so staff are quite comfortable with it and quite happy with it. Also, it means you can put a recorded note, as it were, anywhere on a piece of work. So if you want to comment on a particular paragraph, a particular sentence, a particular part of a piece of work, you can actually apply the comment there and then, so students can listen to that. The one we came down to, finally, that was probably the most successful one, was something called Poodle, which obviously is linked to Moodle. Just briefly to finish then, some of the main findings in terms of staff reaction, and finally the positive outcomes of the programme. Okay, thank you.